A Hounskull was a form of steel helmet worn in Europe in the Middle Ages, almost invariably by knights and other mounted men-at-arms, for the middle of the 14th century until approximately 1420. It offered extensive protection for the wearer's face, at the cost of visibility, but its distinctive visor could be raised or lowered at will. Form: the Hounskull was a form of bastonet with a visor covering the entire face. It is the visor which gives the helmet its name, as this resembles the face of a hound, with a protruding muzzle, in order to better protect the face from blows and to grant greater ventilation. The visor swung up to uncover the wearer's face when he was not in combat, to grant him better visibility and unrestricted ventilation. This was accomplished in one of two ways. The most common form of visor in Central Europe was held on by a single hinge fastened to the center of the top of the visor, called a clap visor. The other version had two pivot bolts on either side of the visor attaching it to the bastonet at the temples, and this was the most common form found in southern, western and northwestern Europe. The wearer peered through two vision slots when the visor was lowered. The vision slots were either relatively flush with the visor, as was the custom in Western Europe, or elevated on mounts on the visor, as was commonly the case in Central Europe. As with all bastionets, the helmet generally had attachment points for armor to protect the neck and upper body, initially an aventail of mail and, later, plate armor. The chain aventail could have a decorative cloth cover. Usage: the addition of the visor to the bastonet came about due to the ongoing need to protect the face of the man-at-arms. The great helm had been increasingly abandoned for the bastonet in the first half of the 14th century, but the bastonet did not protect the face, and this led to increasing casualties to the wearer, particularly in the 100 Years' War. Due to the dominance of the longbow as a weapon, various expedients were adopted, eventually culminating in a full Hounskull helmet with its visor soon after 1350. This helmet became so ubiquitous that it was virtually the symbol of the knight during the second half of the 14th century, sometimes illustrated as worn by all knightly combatants in period illustrations. The Hounskull lingered in use for some time after that, although it was decidedly out of fashion after the second decade of the 15th century. The last time it is depicted in widespread use in period art is by the Armagnac mercenaries who invaded Switzerland in 1444. Modern terminology: the English term Hounskull is considered by some historians to have been a derivation of the German term for the helmet, Hounskull, meaning hound's hood. The Victorian historians who described the helmet often referred to it as a pig-faced helmet, although that term was not used in the medieval period.